Hello, Shalon Winter here. As usual, here's our risk disclosure. Trading is risky. You can lose all your money. Know what you're doing before you do it. So go ahead and pause the video. Read over this if you would like. Today's video is going to be a review of my trading session on June 23rd, which was Friday. And I'll go through what happened, what I did, the good, the bad, the ugly, the great. And my own disclosure is that I'm not an Apex employee. I'm just a trader using their tools. So my views and opinions on their system is my own and not theirs, even though a lot of it does align. This is not their views, but my own. All right, so this one will be pretty quick. I only took 2 trades, and first, let's start off by examining what's happening here. This is NQ, right? So if we look back, as soon as I start trading, I always look back, see what's going on. Yeah, we're in a trend down, right? But let's see, how's that trend been working out? So we had a nice run down here, little chop at the wall, ran down to this wall, came up, came down, up. So from this area here, when it hit the wall, down here, we kind of had a little top and bottom forming, right? Top up here, little bottom. As you can see, when it went through the wall, it left a ZOI, came back up, left a magnet on the wall, came back up, left another magnet on the wall. That's telling me this is a significant area right now. Okay? That's a good resistance. This wall couldn't break through. Finally breaks through. There's a thicker wall. That means it's stronger. And there's a ZOI there. Okay? As it came through, look, broke through the wall, left a little cluster there, came back up to test it. You can barely see it, but it left a paw right behind that magnet and then went down. Hit this yellow gap level, hit the thicker wall again. There's a deviation here. Bounced up a little bit, HD, broke through, came back up, and now what are we doing? Kind of a chop sideways again. So we see that happen back here, ran down, and it's happening again. So let's hit the play button and see what happens here. Okay, so now, and then we got a little bit of an ODD down here, but now we're kind of getting into a little choppy consolidation area. And a couple of dynamic magnets. We have a dynamic magnet popped up on top of this wall. That's a strong level. We've got some little HD forming here. I had to probably switch my accounts. There we go.
Potential TX on NQ.
Okay, little HD forming with a TX, Paul. Pulling up.
Double cluster NQ.
Got a little low volume scores. Star 6 there, then a star 4, some ZOIs, couple clusters. SLZ forming, little indicator popped up there. So I'm looking to see where this is going. A lot of volume building up here. You know, we're kind of back at this little top, ZOI crash.
Potential SLZ on NQ.
This could decide to come back down from the looks of how it's been running. Kind of starts forming a little range, then break down, form a little range. I'm about to take a trade here. That's why I am
SLZ on NQ.
Play. So I did not get a LRE there. That's where I wanted my LRE initially. Right off of this area. Even though we have these clusters, we have some OP forming, but from what I'm looking at, I think this should come back down to the wall. But, you know, these clusters here might prevent it. And we had ODD, so this could signal the bottom. We just have to see what happens.
Potential TX on NQ.
All right, I got the simplicity chart up here. As you can see, it didn't pull back enough for an LRE. So here's what I don't like. And I'll tell you what I don't like. As you can see, we had a run down, hit this dynamic magnet and wall. And now it's kind of consolidating. And it came down a little further, but it's just going sideways, right? So when the market goes sideways, the simplicity, our solid line that we use for our entry, kind of catches up to price instead of price pulling back to it. I don't like those. So, but I do like, well, back here, I wish this was an LRE, which would have been back here when it hit this dynamic magnetic wall, but it didn't give it to me. So now it's consolidating too much. So if I take an LRE here, I really don't like it. So let's see what happens. Excuse me. So now it's
Double cluster
coming
NQ.
down how I thought it would. So now I'm expecting it to break. That's what I would prefer it to do, is break short and keep running. But in this case, it kind of continues to go, sideways. So I'm thinking in my head, well, maybe it did get enough of a little run down here. Pull back up here for an LRE. Let's see here. And it pops back up. So I hop in. Gives me an
Order
LRE.
submitted.
Now, remember what I said, why I didn't like it a minute ago. And I still don't like it. I shouldn't have taken this trade. But I took it anyways, which was not a smart move. So this is one that was a bad trade. I chalked this up as I should have skipped it. It wasn't an LRE that I liked that I took and just lost. This is one I didn't like and I took it anyways. Don't know why I did, but hey, I'm a human. We're all human, and sometimes we take trades we shouldn't. And in this case, I took it, and that's why we follow a money management. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice. That's why we follow a money management plan. That way, if the market isn't working out for us, or our own brain isn't working out for us, we, can stop without having a detrimental collapse. So I already explained why I shouldn't take it. Now on its way up, it threw a cluster up here on that level, the wall dynamic magnet, with a mini magnet. So this is telling me that's probably going to push up at least to the COI. But more than likely, where's the last, if it breaks this top here, where's the last support or resistance point? Well, we have this thicker wall, deviation level, and then the gap here. What did it do around there? This is a strong little area. So, see what happens. And then keep in mind, see, we have all these clusters down here. We already had an ODD where it hit here. Just hit that bottom
Double
again.
cluster NQ.
Order filled.
And see, I lost. That one lost. That one was not a good trade. We had too much going on down here. That was just plain and simple not a good trade. Not how I like my trades. Okay. Now, as this is coming up, I'm looking, well, maybe this is a good point. Right up here. Because it already bounced off of that. We have some clusters. We have a mini magnet that was there, gap level, ZOI, clusters. There's a lot going on here. This thicker wall, deviation level. Now as it goes, it's going up. What do we have? A low volume star, low volume score, star, which number 4 is low volume. Okay, it's going up. So I'm like, ooh, well, maybe we'll get a bounce here. Okay. And then that one doesn't reverse. But this Now it's laying double clusters here. So might lay a TX.
Potential TX on NQ.
So hop in.
Order submitted.
Double
And
cluster NQ.
let me say something as well. This day was not a great trading day for me. Mentally. So I took this loss, right? And a lot of times what happens is if you take a loss, sometimes it just needs to pull back further, the simplicity trend. And in this case, this was a better point to take it. But what happens a lot of times whenever I take a trade like this and it loses and then it keeps pulling back and it's still in an LRE state, I like to just stay out, let the simplicity chart reset, wait for a new trend, because sometimes you're not thinking clear or seeing clear. And the second one that's right afterwards might not be a good one either. So just like here, I said I shouldn't have taken this trade. It was not a good one for me. So obviously my mind was not in a clear state. So as this pulled up, I should have stayed out of this one because my mind, I don't know if it was just, if at the moment, was this a good one? Was it not? Was my mind still messed up? I don't know. Looking back at the chart, it was good. It was fine. But I should have stayed out of it because of my own mental state.
Orders with exhaustion box on NQ.
So let's let it play out. You know, and I should have gotten in up here, but I didn't. Got in down here. And then you have this little top, which was a point of resistance for a little bit here. So more than likely it'll come down and hit that. Usually what happens. Maybe even come down and test this dynamic magnet and wall. And actually, this may have been a Lorex trade. I'm not sure. I don't have the Lorex indicator on this on NQ yet on this day. It may have been. I don't remember exactly all the 5 components it needs since I don't have the indicator. But let's see. Okay, it has to do its little choppiness here. Trying to decide where it wants to go. And look, my profit, there's a crash that was here to the left. I had enough time in this trade for me to continue to analyze everything and make sure it was okay. And then after I did, I said, okay, I'm pretty confident in this one. Now look how close it got to my profit target. It got pretty close. So at this point, I'm like, ugh, I don't know if this will make it. I'm going to hang in here though. Mentally, I was already prepared to, if this one loses, I'm shutting down because that's my loss limit. Net 2, and I'm done. So I said, I'm going to hang into this one. I'm liking what I'm seeing, even though it's kind of chopping on me. And it got pretty close. So once it comes back down to this area again, I'm going to move to break even. There we go. I moved to break even right when it took profit. So took profit, moved to break even, ran down. And that was it. See, it's testing this previous top area here. And that was it. Let's see. I'm pulling up the simplicity chart. Okay, I'm going to pause it. Because see, here's my first one. Came up here. And yeah, just kept going. So the IV line pulled all the way back up here. So I really got in. I should have got in up here, but I waited. Once I saw the TX forming and everything else, I said, oh, you know what? This is coming back down, so let me get in. Got in. And that was it. That was all I did that day. So I came back down to this bottom wall here and popped back up. And that was it. That was my trading session. So a little bit of a lesson on mental state. I took one trade I shouldn't have. Kind of rushed into the second one, even though I liked it. but typically I like to skip that second one if it happens right away like that, just because maybe I could be having a one of those mental days, and don't want to rush into something, even though it was decent, it was good. But then after reviewing it, after looking at it, okay, it was fine. If I would have not taken the first one and I was just waiting with a clear mind, could I see myself still taking this one? Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, it still wasn't the best, but so that was the trading day. Hope you all have a great day and trade well.